What's up, Earth Rockers? It's your boy Shovatar here to talk about Castlevania: The Adventure Rebirth again. It's not the title of the game. The title of the game is just Castlevania: The Adventure Rebirth. I said again there because this is the second video I'm making about it. That's what I meant there. Castlevania: The Adventure Rebirth on hard mode. Some games that I've played in the Castlevania, hard mode is just kind of like normal mode, but like there's a few more bats here and there, or like you take a little bit more damage. Not really that different. Adventure Rebirth on hard mode is really a different game. And if you've played Adventure Rebirth before on the system on the platform that it was actually released on, which is the WiiWare for the Nintendo Wii, and you're curious to know why the music is different on level 1, on the off chance that you've noticed that, I explained the whole music thing in my normal mode video. I don't really want to get into it in this video, because in this video I really want to talk more about the sort of moment-to-moment like strategizing and what's going on as I go through the levels. Because like I started to say earlier, Adventure Rebirth on hard mode is really a different experience than the normal mode. Like I got Dracula's Curse flashbacks playing some of the levels in this game on hard mode, and I never thought I would say that again. Probably the hardest thing I've done since Chronicles, I would say. Funnily enough, how long is this? This is about, what, 50 minutes? And I think the last chunk of that is mostly just going to be credits, so about 45 minutes. I want to say that's about as long as a Deathless run of Chronicles would be, maybe? You'd probably, like, get to the end of the game by 45 minutes, and then maybe there's, like, 5 minutes of credits. I don't remember. Anyway, point is, this was, like, some hard shit. It mostly does come in peaks, though. Like, there's one or two spots that are, like, really, really tricky. In normal mode, the only really big difficulty spike as I encountered it was the clock tower level. Here, the clock tower level is still a really big problem. It's even bigger problem than before. But level 4 also has a few problematic areas, and level 3 is like a gigantic problem. Whenever you go into a game with the intention to 1cc it instead of doing a Deathless run, it kind of makes the game... It almost makes the game more interesting, because now... Well, for one, I mean, obviously it's more forgiving, and it's more sort of like a holistic experience, or like a... Like, the run is now kind of like one... It matters more how you play in previous levels, instead of just like... It basically being, can you survive through the hardest levels? What I'm struggling to say here, very inarticulately, is that if you play well on early levels, you have more lives to get through the harder levels, which makes it feel like more of kind of like a arcade-style experience. But one of the other consequences of a 1cc is that, like, there are times when you can die, and times when you really can't die. And in previous Castlevania games, that kind of boiled down to sub-weapon availability. Like, for example, in Dracula's Curse, there were certain parts of the game where you really wanted the lightning spell. So, if you died after the point where you wanted to use the lightning spell, then it was totally fine. But if you picked up lightning in, say, level 3, and you really wanted to use it in level 5, but then you died in level 4, and now you don't have lightning anymore, that could be like a gigantic problem. Whereas, by contrast, like dying after level 5, after you wanted to use the lightning and losing the lightning, then it would basically be acceptable. And right off the bat, level 1 is much crazier here than it is on normal mode. The eyeballs are falling at a faster rate, and there's more bone-throwing skeletons, as you can see. And that's kind of like a recurring theme in Adventure Rebirth hard mode, is that the skeletons are a much bigger problem here than they ever were before. They just always throw more enemies at you. Here, there's way more eyeballs coming at you. Adventure Rebirth level 1 on hard mode is like a lot of hard mode level 1s, where level 1 under normal circumstances is just kind of like a, Jesus Christ, I have 1 HP. This is pretty fucking scary. I'm pretty sure if I die on this level, I think the reason I kept whipping them there is because I thought maybe I could get to the left side of that room and check to see if there was a meat in that floor down there, because I didn't really remember if there was or not, but I couldn't get over there. There was no way. So now I just kind of have to kill this boss without dying. And if I die at this point, I'm probably going to reset. I'm probably not going to go for a 1cc. Because in my mind, the points in this run where I'm probably going to die are like... I'm planning on... I'm not exactly planning on dying at any point, but like... I'm expecting to die on level 3 at least once. I'm expecting to die on level 5 at least once. And then I have a couple of like deaths for flexibility. Because I'm going to get... I'm going to get at least 1 extra life from points, and then I think I'm going to get 2 more lives throughout this whole run, which is going to be 5 lives in total. So if I only die like once on level 3, and then like once on level 4, and then once on level 5, which is like kind of what I'm expecting, then I'll still be able to end the game with 2 lives, which is not really a margin I'd like. What I really want, that's like a worst case scenario, or like a bad scenario if I die once on each of those levels. If I can get through level 4 without dying, then that's really good. If I can get through level 3 without dying, that's really fucking good. And then if I can get through level 5 without dying, that's going to be a fucking miracle, because level 5 has no meat. It also has the toughest platforming challenges in the whole game. Kind of. There are actually parts of level 3 that I think are harder than anything that you see in level 5, but level 3 is really where the difficulty seriously ramps up, which is traditional, because if... all the way back in Castlevania 1, level 3 is kind of like where the game really starts kicking your ass. Because that's where the death pits come into effect. And the problems in level 3 are not really just the death pits. It's a combination of things. And again, I'm going to have to wait to talk about that until we get there. Level 2 is mostly the same. Level 1 is mostly the same. One thing that hard mode does that I like is they actually added some new enemies that only appear in hard mode, like that weird green salamander dude up there, or that frog dude with the knives, yeah. There's an enemy in this game that's like a red like Grim Reaper looking guy who throws scythes at you, who's supposed to be a reference to enemies from Belmont's Revenge. I'm pretty sure those guys with the blades are also supposed to be a reference to a Belmont's Revenge enemy. Although I don't remember if... Yeah, there's the scythe guy. I don't remember if they're frogs or not, but they're enemies in Belmont's Revenge that have a similar attack pattern where they'll like jump and throw knives at you. So, so that's pretty cool. I like the fact that I think the developers of this game really liked Castlevania Bloodlines. That's kind of the impression I get with sort of how it looks and how it plays, and the fact that they are playing the Castlevania Level 1 music right now, which in the normal soundtrack plays on Level 1 inexplicably. But they also made sure to remember that this is Christopher Belmont here, the most unfortunate of all Belmonts. In Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, there's like this special super attack that you can do called Greatest 5, which is like you summon the spirits of the 5 greatest Belmonts to attack your enemies. And when I was doing my Portrait of Ruin commentaries, I like wasn't sure who they all were, and I'm like, okay, well obviously they've got like... well, the thing is 5 sprites show up, but I didn't recognize one of them, and I was like, well obviously the 5 greatest Belmonts would be Trevor, Christopher, Simon, Richter, and Juice. But I actually looked it up, and the 5 Belmonts that appear during the Portrait of Ruin Greatest 5 attack are Trevor, Simon, Richter, Juiced, and Leon Belmont from Lament of Innocence. So Christopher just gets totally shafted. I think he's also the only Belmont who doesn't appear in Smash Bros. Ultimate as a spirit. I don't actually know what that is, but I read that somewhere. I don't know what a spirit is. Anyway, it's been a long time since I played a Smash Bros. Game. I know about assist trophies. Are those like assist trophies? Whatever. Anyway, yeah, those jumping fish guys are not normally there. Are not there on normal mode. So that area is much scarier on hard than it is on normal, and I'm pretty sure there's twice as many bats on the screen in this part as there are on normal mode, which is traditional for hard mode. If you've never played a Castlevania hard mode before, the thing you should pretty much always expect is that there will always be more bats than there were before. That's kind of the thing that Castlevania hard modes love to do, is put more bats in them. Put more bats in the levels, rather. But level 2 is mostly a... It's if you can figure out that bit in the caves with the extra fishmen jumping up, which I ultimately was able to figure out, it's basically fine. And I actually used the stopwatch back there when I really didn't need to. You can actually get through that part without the stopwatch by basically, because it's 2 layers of breakable platforms that you're walking on, and you can actually take the time to whip the fish guy when he comes out of the water while you're on the top layer, and then fall down onto the second layer, and then you'll still be fine to just walk on the second layer the rest of the way to the end of that stage. And this part is just like a fucking nightmare. Fortunately, the Bone Dragon mostly stays in the same pattern. He kind of always ends up back on that top ledge, and then back on that higher platform, and then circles back again. So that makes him killable. But another thing about Adventure Rebirth that's really on hard mode that's really important is that everything does more damage. I don't think you're quite in 4 hits and you're dead territory, which is the like Castlevania 1. And then Castlevania 3, and then Chronicles. I think Chronicles is 4 hits. Yeah, Chronicles is 4 hits. You're not quite in that territory, but it's more like 5 hits and you're dead, which I think is kind of what Bloodlines. Well, Bloodlines is weird because you have more health like points. I don't remember what like how many hits you tended to be able to take in Bloodlines, but the point is you're much more fragile. You're more fragile on hard mode in Adventure Rebirth than you are on hard than you are on normal mode. And that becomes super important in like the Clock Tower where there's no meat, or in like level 4 where there's I think 1 meat in the entire level. Same with level 3 as far as I can recall, and I'm actually going to take a route through level 3 that's going to mean it's going to make it a no meat level. And I'm going to explain why I do that when we get to it. So level 3 is when shit just goes totally fucking insane, and it starts with the first fucking room. This shit is so fucking crazy because the blood skeletons are dead for like 1 second, and it's like such a specific sequence that I learned to get through this part without taking damage, which I think I should be able to do. I can't even really explain it to you guys. It's just something where I was like an AI. I was just like reloading that over and over and over again to figure out what like the correct sequence was. Like, when do I need to turn around and worry about the blood skeletons? Like, when should I try to like jump on top of the spear points coming out? When it was just insanity. And this part's also pretty fucking crazy because you have to not yet, but yeah, this whole sequence coming up, because all of these platforms, as you can see, flip out from underneath you. On normal mode, there's just like solid platforms there that just stay there. On hard mode, they make you play like really fast, and they also make you jump on more of this, and this is the craziest part right here, where it's like these falling platforms where you have to jump from a platform that flips out underneath you onto a spike that shoots out, and then onto a ledge before the next spike that shoots out and hits you, and now you have to stand on safe spots on the stairs while Medusa heads come at you. This is so much like Dracula's Curse 5-3, it's fucking insane. This is exactly like Dracula's Curse 5-3. Because in Dracula's Curse 5-3 was like a level with a bunch of stairs where you had to like stand in like safe zones where turrets couldn't hit you, and then progress. And this spot is just fucking bonkers. Like, sometimes this bone thrower just doesn't get hit by you, and he'll just like stay inside the turrets and just throw a bone at you and it hits you. But again, the part about this that's gonna get really crazy is the blood skeletons. Because you have to you basically have to like dip in, kill turrets, move away, kill blood skeletons, then like get a few more hits on turrets, then kill blood skeletons. That's going to come up at the very end of this, and it's like the hardest part of this whole sequence is dealing with the things that are coming towards you and the blood skeletons at the same time. And what I did back there was so important, which was killing all of them at the same time. Because if you can kill multiple of the bone skeletons and the blood skeletons in one whip swing, then that gives you more time to whip the turret tower there at the very end before you have to turn around to deal with them again. And that's really important, because eventually you will run out of space and the blood skeletons will be right on top of you. So you're basically on a timer with that last section there to kill the turrets before the blood skeletons catch up with you. And this is fucking crazy, because the blood skeletons not only resurrect really fast, but they're fast as fuck. So I have to jump down when this guy's over to the left, and look at that. He's so close to me there. He almost fucking hit me. And I really could not have, like, cut that any tighter. And here I'm going to take an alternate path, because the path down that way is just, like... There's a 2-level room at a certain point in this level. You guys saw me go through the lower path on normal. It's like there are blood skeletons, and then there's like spears coming out of the ground. And on hard mode, it's just so much worse, because the blood skeletons respawn way faster, and instead of more blood skeletons being on the higher level, it's skeletons that throw bones at you. So you're basically, if you take that lower path on hard mode, you're basically begging to die. Yeah, here's the upper path, there's a lower path. And as you can see, it's like spikes, like spears pointing down, fucking blood skeletons running at you, and then bone throwers up above you that you would have to throw the axe at to kill. And the thing about hard mode, too, that's really important is that all the sub-weapons are more expensive. The axe on normal mode is 2 hearts. On hard mode, it's 3 hearts. And that's like... It's only a 1 heart difference, but that's so important. Like, if you think about it, that means that right now, instead of having 15 axe throws, I only have 10. So I have to be much more careful with how I use the axe, because when I get to the boss of level 3, the boss of level 3 really... It's just, the more axe throws you have, it's just so much easier if you can really aggressively utilize the axe. So that's what I really want to do there. And this part is also kind of insane. The trick with that segment... Damn it. The trick with that section there, with the rotating blade coming back and forth and the 2 ectoplasms floating down on top of you, is to take advantage of a really generous thing they did with the whip animation in Adventure Rebirth, where the whip animation has a wind-up, then it has like an overhead component, then it finishes the swing. And the overhead component in Adventure Rebirth is super generous. Like, it like covers your whole head. It's like right above you. It's not just above you and in front of you. It's literally right above you. So you just kind of have to trust in that capability to kill those ectoplasms when they come down onto you. And so here's the boss. The reason I'm not throwing axes yet is because there actually are phases to this boss fight when he becomes attackable, and because the fact that the axe costs 3 hearts means that I can't just spam it with impunity the way that I could before. Another thing about hard mode that actually turns out to be really important is that instead of starting every level with 5 hearts, you start every level with 0 hearts. And again, with like with an axe that costs 3 hearts to throw, 5 hearts is only 1, but basically 2 usages, because you're almost at 6. But every heart counts. Every heart becomes more valuable in the context of you need 3 hearts to throw the axe, and look at that. I think I walked in with like 35 or like 36 or something, and now I have 0. Which is actually perfect perfect utilization of my resources, but is a thinner margin of error than I would like. Perfect efficiency is good, but I would prefer to have a bit of a safety net. Level 4 is not as hard as level 3. So I just want to point out, I didn't die on level 3 there. And that's actually really strange. Like, I usually die on level 3. It's the part with the blood skeletons and the turret towers when you're jumping back and forth on those platforms. That's the part that usually really fucks me up, because I usually don't handle the blood skeletons that well. But there it all worked out. And here I'm really in like a shitty situation, because trying to not get hit by that blood skeleton is just so fucking hard, because it's so easy for him to get right underneath you so fast. Like, look at that. I don't even know... You know what I really should do here is I should, okay, that works. What I could have done there if I wanted to be really safe was like walk back along that upper path again to bait him further over to the right, then fall down, then just run in front of him, but oh well. And this is kind of insane too. Just trying to get down from this platform without jumping on top of either of those 2 skeletons is actually really hard, because they move so fast, and their movements are kind of odd. Sometimes they'll that's pretty cool. That's a kind of risky, because you have to get really close to them in order to trigger the chandelier to fall on them. But if you get if I basically got any closer to them than that, then I would walk into the bottom turret and take damage. And this part, I mean, I hope it's obvious why the axe is necessary here. Because this part is so much crazier than it is on normal mode. This is basically a totally different room. On normal mode, there are, like, none of these flippy out from under you platforms. It's just, like, some stairs, some bone throwers, and then the Medusa heads. Here, it's, like, stairs, flippy out under you platforms, bone throwers, turrets, Medusa heads coming at you on stairs all the fucking time. Ectoplasms, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. And that's really interesting because it does kind of like the trick to make a Castlevania level immediately hard, which is just incorporate a lot of verticality. It's always harder for the Belmonts to deal with things that are coming at them from above or below, or things that are above or below them than things that are right in front of them. That's just common sense. And so if you make a room like this, where you have to go up a bunch of platforms, and then you make half the platforms be stairs, and then you make every other platform be a platform that flips out from under you and knocks you back down again, then you've just made a hard room. This section's not too different. Really, the only it's really that one super vertical room that's a gigantic problem on hard mode, and then the rest of level 4 I think is mostly the same. Honestly, the fact that the skeletons move faster is kind of always a problem, so wherever there's a skeleton, now hard mode has made a particular section more problematic. So there are, I think, a couple of areas in level 4. I know I don't get out of level 4 without dying. Getting out of level 3 without dying is really good. Like, if I can get out of level 3 or 4 or 5 without dying, that's pretty much exactly what I want, so I'm already in really good shape. But if I got out of level 4 without dying, that would be like god tier. It's not going to happen though, because the fact that you take more damage in Adventure Rebirth means that on fights like the Succubus right here, you're now way more punished for fucking up her trickier attacks, and I just wasn't expecting her to do that attack there. Like, usually she follows up the fire attack with the bat wheel attack, but there she kind of surprised me with a ghost attack, and then simultaneously locked me out of the safe zone that you have to be in to avoid that bat attack, because there was a ghost in the way. So, kind of a bitch move, I have to say. Not very happy with her for that one. But I got through this checkpoint. That's really what I wanted there. The last thing I want is to die there, because then I have to do that whole challenge room, challenge room sequence again, with the turrets falling down. With, like, the turrets, the big, like, bridge of turrets, and that is not really a section you want to get to without a sub-weapon, which is what the situation that I would be in if I died on the Succubus. It would start me off back at the room with the, with the falling eyeball and the two, falling eyeballs and the two skeletons. Not what I want. And at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die. I feel like there's a vague possibility I get out of this without dying, but I'm not really expecting to, because the thing is, there's one meat in level 4, and I'm still yet to get to it. So if I can get to that meat, I have a shot, but I have some pretty tricky combat I have to get through before then. Ooh, that was fucking scary. But I didn't really have a choice. Like, past a certain... God damn it. Yeah, past a certain point, I really don't know how to handle that situation. I still don't really know. When the bone throwers... The issue is that I never know where bone throwers are aiming at. It seems like there's a random displacement. Like, they'll aim, like, randomly slightly to the left or slightly to the right of you. And I don't... And if there's a pattern to that aiming, I've never been able to figure it out. That kind of still confuses me to this day. I've been playing against bone throwers since fucking Castlevania 1, and I still, like, don't really get them. I just don't know what the correct thing to do is in that situation. Like, you're on a staircase, and there's a bone thrower aiming at you. Like, what do? Do you go up or do you go down? It's like, well, or do you stay still? Like, I don't fucking know. Like, I guess what I really should have done is just try to block it again with the whip. That was kind of a bonehead move, haha, not to do that, especially after it worked once. I should have at least tried it. Even if I fucked up and I didn't get the timing down right, I still had a chance, so... that was just kind of a misplay. I think I could have gotten to the meat there, Maybe, because these next two sections aren't that hard. Fortunately, I get enough hearts for one sub-weapon usage to kill those birds, which is really what I want. The birds in Adventure Rebirth actually aren't that hard to kill if they're in isolation. They do what a lot of birds in Castlevania games kind of like stubbornly refuse to do, which is have a really consistent pattern of movement. The birds in Adventure Rebirth will like get off their perch, fly around behind you, and then try to fly into you. And it's just a matter of turning around and getting the timing on your whip swing right. Speaking of timing on your whip swing, that's how you get through that collapsing bridge section, is just swing your whip every time you're falling down and then immediately keep walking. And just kind of pray to God that you hit whatever is trying to like come down and hit you at that point in time. This is another kind of fucked up like blood skeleton turret section, but here it's a lot easier because the blood skeleton's right in front of you, so you can hit the turret and the blood skeleton at the same time. What made the last one so hard is that you had to turn around to hit the blood skeletons to manage them and then turn around and hit the turrets. So going into this boss fight with, what is this, almost no cross uses. 4 cross uses, not really what I want. I want to use the cross on this guy as much as I possibly can, but not going to be an option, unfortunately. Yeah, the succubus, that's where the extra damage you take in Adventure Rebirth matters on fights like the succubus, where the fact that her attacks are tricky to dodge matters less on normal because you're just not... You're not going to get hit for... I mean, this sounds like really dumb, like common sense, but every extra attack you take compounds the disadvantage you experience with hard mode. This guy's identical, as far as I can tell, on hard mode and on normal mode. I already kind of explained this boss fight here on my normal mode video. You want to stand at a point at the start of his fist attack that you think is between his close fist attack and his far fist attack. And then just try to get over to the left of him as soon as you possibly can. It's not easy because you have to kind of eyeball where you think that middle area is, but it's simple in concept. It's really just the kind of thing you have to practice and get a feel for. So now we're at the clock tower. Clock tower. What time is it? It's like it's about 4 a.m., 4 p.m. back there. There's no a.m. or p.m. on a clock, but it's 4 o'clock. That's what it says back there, I think. The clock tower is a lot harder on hard mode, I would say. I think the gap in difficulty between level 3 normal and level 3 hard is wider than the gap between level 5 normal and level 5 hard, but only because level 5 normal is already, like, pretty tricky. And again, like, the only reason that level 3 went as smoothly as it did is because I practiced that shit like a motherfucker. Like, I practiced that level so much. It's ridiculous. I practiced this a ton too, but I had to like drill parts of Adventure Hard Mode level 3. Like that first room especially, with like the spike and the blood skeletons and the turrets, like I can't even describe it. This is an area that I'm resigned to taking damage on because this is so fucking dumb. Can I just say, speaking of Dracula's Curse, I'm going to bring up Dracula's Curse a lot towards the end of the game here. That's such a Dracula's Curse thing, is trying to crouch to hit enemies and then, like, fucking going downstairs instead. That was like the Dracula's Curse special. It's like crouching to try to intercept a low axe throw from an armor knight and then walking down the fucking stairs and getting hit. And that's exactly what happened there, where I wanted to duck to hit the hunchback, but I was too close to the fucking stairs and the game thought I wanted to go under the fucking stairs. So, at this point, I'm already pretty much sure I'm gonna die. And my goals for the clock tower, again, it's a matter of when I can die. That I'm going to die, I've accepted, but, I mean in the game, not in like an existential sense. But there are times when I can die and times when I can't die. And again, like in other games, it's about sub-weapons. Because there's a stopwatch coming up here. Okay, this part's really... I think... Do I get it right here? Fuck, I don't pull it off. So there's a way to permakill blood skeletons, which is to get them to fall in a pit. And the way that you do that is by hitting them on like a perfect... Yeah, there it is. You hit them on the perfect timing. You gotta hit them in mid-air so that they fall into the pit and they die. So I actually do that here twice to clear out the blood skeletons in this room and to make it manageable. Usually, if I'm like playing on like Kaioken times 10, I can kill that blood skeleton first try, and then kill that first jumping frog sword man. Completely unpressured, but there I had to maintain the blood skeleton and fight him at the same time, which is not the situation that I want to be in, but I pulled it off. Yeah, sub-weapons. There's a stopwatch coming up here, and I want the stopwatch for a particular room. Medusa head? Medusa head? There it is, okay. Yeah, you gotta watch for that shit there. You can't really... You shouldn't really go up that staircase until you're absolutely sure about where... about the Medusa head status, because they have a bad habit of, like, you start going up the staircase, and then they spawn and they just, like, hit you. And I'm going to be really aggressive with the stopwatch here because I have a lot of hearts, and because I'm now expecting to die at an inopportune time, so I want to make sure that I can take advantage of the stopwatch as much as I can while I'm still alive. And that was, like, really annoying. There's a ghost spawn in, like, the worst possible spot. Yep, it's, like, right at the top of the stairs where you would least want something to be. That's where they put something. Very annoying. There's an eyeball down there. Yep, that guy is a real fucking shithead. I realize that's not a very articulate criticism or description of the level design, but that's kind of the best way I can put it. He's just a fucking shithead. He's down there lurking on that fucking platform, and you would, like, never see him until you're falling down onto that platform expecting it to be empty and then landing right on top of his stupid head. I do wonder... I actually wonder how far I get with the stopwatch. I guess we'll find out. I'm already... If I can get past this guy smoothly, which I expect to be able to do, I'm pretty confident with my ability to fight this guy. Then I'm basically happy. I've taken a bad situation, which is taking all the damage that I took on the hunchbacks, and with the eyeball at the staircase. That's a bad situation. That's shitty. But if I can get past this guy and just get that checkpoint down, then I'm feeling pretty good. I'd really like to be able to use the stopwatch to get through one more checkpoint, though. That's what I really want. Because there's one particular room that I think I basically need the stopwatch to successfully navigate. It's not, like, need to the point that if I die before I get there, I reset, but it's kind of the whole reason I'm picking up the stopwatch in the first place is to deal with this one room that we haven't gotten to yet, so it would be pretty dumb to not... It would kind of defeat the whole point of the route to die before I get there. I'm wondering if I... Yeah, this part's pretty scary just because I feel like there are timings and positionings that the Medusa heads can spawn where if they just spawn in the wrong spot at the wrong time, you can't, like, not get hit by them on the stairs. Full air control saved my fucking ass there. Full air control is, like, always really important, but that's... Yeah, see, like, right there. I guess I should have kept going up the stairs, but I was paranoid at that point about exactly that situation with the Medusa heads. I don't know. Yeah, in retrospect, I should have just kept walking up the stairs, but that's just in the moment. This is the room I want the stopwatch for, because... I mean, do you see this shit? The fucking lethal scythe guy, and then I die. Yep, I had 7 hearts. I really should have stopwatched again to kill that hunchback and tried to get to the last checkpoint. So now I'm in a pretty bad situation where I have to try to get through that room with, like, the hunchbacks and the scythe guy without the stopwatch, which was the whole reason I wanted the stopwatch for. To be fair, the stopwatch also makes the section before that Frankenstein mini-boss, like, way smoother. It's kind of like either the axe or the stopwatch, and the stopwatch is always safer. Speaking of the axe... Yeah, respawning with 0 hearts is also pretty fucking brutal. It's crazy how, like, how hittable and cooperative these floating eyeballs are compared to the floating eyeballs in, like, Rondo. Or, like, Dracula X. Those things are fucking shitheads. They take some kind of Like, they take the most fucked up routes to get to you. These eyeballs actually kind of remind me of the eyeballs from Chronicles. Their behavior. Although you encounter them under less stressful circumstances. So let's see how I do here. Okay, I'm managing the Scythe guy pretty well. The Scythe guy actually has a good, wow, okay. That was actually really good. Well, maybe I didn't need the stopwatch after all. Okay. The Scythe guy has there's a nice thing about the Scythe guy is that it's like the axe armors in Castlevania 1 and Castlevania 3, where if you just crouch and whip, you're guaranteed to be safe, because you'll either hit the Scythe projectile as it comes towards you, or if it's going above you, you'll have time to duck underneath it and then jump over the return swing. Or maybe even hit the Scythe on the return swing with your whip. Yeah, there, I probably should have thrown the axe at that bat. Probably should not have tried to do the jump, oh no, I think that's the bat that you can't hit normally because it's like off the screen, right? I'd have to go back and look at it. I feel like if I could have thrown a sub-weapon at that bat that I would have, but I know there's one of those 3 bats up there that you like can't, you can't hit, really. So that red torch to the left there has a key in it. I don't think I'm going to go for it. No, I'm not going to go for it. I explained this in my normal mode run, but I'm going to actually explain it again here. I actually am going to repeat myself, because here it's actually pertinent. So, the key in the red candle sends you to a... This is such a fucking shit show. I don't even know what happened. I feel like I blinked and now I'm almost dead. I literally don't even know what happened. Like, I think like a Medusa head hit me and then knocked me into a skull, and then the skull hit me again, and then now I'm almost dead. So, oh man. Anyway, the red candle leads to a room that eventually spits you out above that right staircase there, which is a worse place to be. It's a worse checkpoint to have, because the candle with the axe in it is over on the left. So, what you want to do when you first come into this room is get the axe, get some hearts, and then start clearing the shit out. But if you're spawning it, so if you're spawning it on the left, you can get the axe immediately. If you're spawning it on the right, you can't. You have to go all the way to the left to get the axe first, and then start clearing shit out. Although, if you spawn with 0 hearts, maybe that doesn't matter. Unless there's 5 hearts in that first torch. I actually didn't quite see if there were or not. That was pretty ballsy there to jump at the ectoplasm and the little, like, pustule and whip at the same time, but that's honestly the best way to clear that shit out, is just have faith in the super generous overhand component of the swing that Adventure Rebirth has. They give it to you, they make it really good, like... And then they give you the knife here instead of the cross, pretty much just to troll you. There's a cross in that torch on normal mode, but I still take it anyway just because it makes it easier to kill the skeleton ape on the pole there. The axe would actually work just as well, but the thing about that is that the axe cost more hearts than the knife does. That was unfortunate. I really should have tried to jump over the scythe there instead of trusting that I would get a miracle like backhanded swing on it. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't matter. Spawning on the left is important because there's a 5 heart thing right there, yeah. Okay, good, I was right. That skeleton who just dropped down in the middle of the room, sometimes he can literally just fall right the fuck on top of you. Like, if you're like fucking around down here trying to dodge like bones, trying to close distance, sometimes he will literally just fall on top of you from off the screen. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like this point, it's a point that Dracula's Curse reaches, where it's like this is so hard that it's verging on bad game design. I don't think it quite gets there, but like this part, and then certain parts of level 3, really, really remind me of Dracula's Curse, with like how demanding they are, and how punishing they are, and like how much shit is going on at the same time. And plus, this is another example of why, like, I mean, like, dying is always bad. Like, in the 1cc, there are parts where dying is disastrous, but, like, dying is never... Sorry, I was adjusting my microphone a little bit. Dying is never good, because if I was going into this part with like as many hearts as I wanted and like the cross, for example, then that would be much better than like having to fuck with the knife. You know? Fuck, I'm sitting here like sweating. It's not because of the game either, it's because it's fucking hot here, and I can't open the window because Canada is still on fire, and this area has a fucking air quality alert. I mean, I probably could open the window for like a minute or two and it would be fine, but... So this part is also different on hard mode. On normal mode, there's like an actual platform that you jump onto after that. And then this part is just a fucking nightmare. This is like, do you know the overhand swing? Well, if you don't, you're gonna get killed by eyeballs. That's kind of what this part is. You have to know it in order to not get killed by them here. You can get caught in this, like, yeah, you just have to wait for an opening. Medusa head. Fortunately, it only spawns once, so if you either kill it or avoid it on that first appearance, then you can just keep going forward as normal. Which direction the eyeballs roll depends on where you are relative to their spawn point. Maybe that's obvious, but I just thought I would make that clear. If you're to the left of the middle of the platform, then they'll roll to the left. If you're to the right, they'll roll to the right. And I'm curious to see if I can kill the Grim Reaper here without dying. It actually could go either way, just because I'm probably going to die, because whether or not I take damage on phase 1 can actually kind of come down to luck. Like which side he spawns those gray scythes on. They're spawning on the left and they're coming towards me, so this is probably going to be... Okay, no, they fly right into my line of fire. This is pretty good so far. Damn it. Okay, well, this could still work out. Depends on if I play like a god. I think I'm one hit away from death is the only problem right now, is that I think if he hits me again, I will die. If I play this part really well and I rack up a ton of damage, I might be able to get through this. Let's see what happens. I gotta be really careful right here, though. Okay. I'm doing it. He really just fucks with you there. Okay, I got him, yep. If I can get through that stage where he has the 3 blades out and I don't die, then he's toast. Because at that point he's always low enough health. He's always going to be like 1 or 2 hits away from death, and I can finish him off. So that was really good, actually. That was kind of a salvage. So I'm going into Dracula with 3 lives, and actually there's a 1-up before Dracula, so it's going to be 4 lives. But I don't want to die on Dracula anyway, because I don't want... Because what kind of fucking footage would that be? If I get all the way to Dracula and then die and then have to fight him again, like, that would suck. And it would also suck because I would have 5 fewer hearts. Coming into the stage with a sub-weapon means that I get to, if you hit a torch that has a sub-weapon in it that you already have, you get 5 hearts instead. So now I get an extra 5 hearts from hitting a torch that has an axe in it coming up towards the end here. And I'm gonna have, how many hearts am I going to have going into this fight? Let's find out. That's also why I'm being so careful here, because the axe heart is the axe torch is the last one, and I don't want to pick up a different sub-weapon before I get there. I really want the extra 5 hearts. 37? Okay. So 12 axe throws? That's pretty good.
As ever, the ally of worthless humans.
That line doesn't really make sense, I have to say. I will nitpick that there. Because Christopher Belmont himself is a human, and he's never met Christopher Belmont before. But again, it kind of ties back to something I talked about briefly in my one of my Dawn of Sorrow videos, how I kind of feel like Dracula thinks of all of these Belmonts as like the same guy. If you think about it, in like the Japanese games, he refers to them as just like Belmont. So it's kind of just like Belmont every time. As it makes sense with Japanese naming conventions, but it also kind of makes me feel like he doesn't really think of these guys as, like, different guys. They just kind of show up every time with a whip and fuck up all his plans. Anyway, I kind of already talked about Phase 1 when I did my normal mode video. I didn't really talk about Phase 3 or Phase 2 that much, so I'm going to talk a little bit about Phase 2. I play Phase 2 way more aggressively here, and I think I just do it, like, because I can. Because Phase 2 is The thing about Dracula Phase 2 is that Dracula Phase 2s like this, that kind of follow this pattern, usually struggle to be consistent. In Chronicles, Dracula Phase 2 is like almost impossible to not take damage on. I watched a video once of a guy playing Chronicles original mode, like 6th loop, which is like the hardest mode of the game, and there were so many sections that he just like totally no damaged. But then he gets to Dracula Phase 2 and he takes a hit. It's like, even that player who was a fucking god, like, couldn't not take damage there. So they have problems with, like, consistency, but because that one is, like, really consistent, he kind of does, like, the same kinds of jumps every time, it's much more manageable. The only thing that changes is really the pattern of the Fatal Rains, and that's just a matter of, like, you kind of have to make a split-second decision about whether to move, like how you move. But that's pretty much it. And that was really important, the timing there. I want to get the first set of platforms up before he does the bubble attack. And whenever you want to get the platforms up pretty much when he's not doing anything else. If you can get the platforms up while he's not executing any other attacks, that's really the best case scenario, because whenever he brings up the platforms, he also summons the lightning orbs, and you really don't want to try to deal with the lightning orbs and another attack at the same time. See, here I'm doing it anyway because I still feel pretty good about like the eyeball attack, but I wouldn't want to do it here. I wouldn't want to try to dodge his lightning runes and the fire attack and the lightning orbs at the same time. And what this whole section kind of demonstrates is that you can play this fight at a relatively leisurely pace. Like I'm playing this very safe. I'm getting in a few hits on him when I summon the platforms, and then I'm just kind of backing up and reassessing. And now I think I'm going to use the last of my axes because I feel like he's... Okay, good. That finished him off. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Well, not perfect because I took damage, but again, like this fight seems really hectic, and it is, but you actually do have some freedom to play it at kind of like a measured pace, where, again, you control when he brings the platforms up. If you hit his like face, I can't remember how many times. It's like 5 or 6 times, that's what brings the platforms up. So if you don't attack him, he won't summon the lightning orbs, and the lightning orbs are kind of the most dangerous thing that he does. So you can control when he does that. And if you play like perfectly, I guess you'd rack up some hits on him ahead of time, like whatever's like, to make him like one hit away from the platform things. Then you'd wait until after he finishes whatever attack he's doing. Then you'd get the last hit in and get the platforms to come up, and then start hitting his eyeballs to actually do damage to him. I never really learned it like that. Just because the window to do that is pretty small, and it's much smarter, and it's just easier to just no damage the first 2 phases, go in there with a surplus of health, except that you're going to take a few hits and just try to play the fight as smart as you can, as intelligently as you can. Also, this is the credits music from Belmont's Revenge, by the way, which I'm very gratified to hear. This is the redemption of Christopher Belmont. That's kind of what this game is, because this is a really good game. I actually really like this game. It kind of accomplishes exactly what it's going for, which is, like, they made a new classic Castlevania game. Like, I played a game in 2009, made in 2009 rather, that reminded me of Dracula's Curse, a game from 1989, like the hardest game I've ever played. Like, that's crazy that they made this the way they were, that they were that unafraid to go like balls to the wall difficulty. So I would actually say this game is really good. I would say it's better than a lot of the classic Castlevanias that came before it. Reminds me a lot of Chronicles. Doesn't look as good as Chronicles. Not as memorable as Chronicles. Doesn't have the same like awesome appearance and presentation as Chronicles, but definitely like worth playing if you can boot up your Wii and get access to WiiWare to play it. So that's the last of the mainline 2D Castlevania games. Next up, Castlevania 64. I am so psyched to talk about this one. Hope you guys are looking forward to it too. Keep on Earth rockin'. And stuff.